Jambo, jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Jambo, jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana.
My name is Liakat Parapia. I collect most things that are Kenyan and occasionally East African. And the reason for collecting all this is I was born in Kenya. I spent my first 17 years there. I always had a passion for Kenyan and African things. And it just happens that as things came across, I collected them because I loved them. I used to collect stamps when I was little, and so I carried on doing that and acquired lots of albums. At the museum, you will find a collection of stamps, particularly of Kenya, but there are some of East Africa and Africa as well. As you know, the first stamp in Britain was in 1840. It wasn't very long before stamps were being used in Africa, particularly places like Mauritius and so on, and was very important for the trade between Europe, Africa and India and so on. But the stamps again depict a history, but also the stamps show a history when Tanganyika was under the Germans. So you got German stamps of Tanganyika, and then you got Kenya, Uganda when they were together, and then the East African community, and then now individual countries. Here is my collection of coins. I started collecting probably around when I was about 17 or 18 and so on. And each time I visited East Africa, I tried to collect the coins. And the coins reflect a history of the continent, really, of the whole of East Africa. Because there were traders that used to go up and down from the Indian coast down, but also interestingly, they found a very old Chinese coin, and they think that there may have been Chinese and Indian traders going back maybe hundreds of thousands of years ago. Indians were very important to the British Empire. They were there before the British were there. One of the Indians showed the route around Vasco da Gama. Indians helped to build Fort Jesus, and it was the rupee that used to be used on the coast. Also, the Omani currency was used on the coast. There is a coin, a silver coin that my uncle gave me, which has a picture of Haile Selassie's father. These silver coins were used as quite major currency, going back to 1920s and 30s. The history of East Africa is depicted very well in my coin collection, and I'm very proud of it. This particular picture is of my grandfather, and it was 1897 when my grandfather and great-grandfather came in a dhow from Gujarat, from India. And there are very few pictures because very few pictures were taken. But this is a treasured picture because really our dynasty really started with him from 1897. He landed on the coast, and the background was to do with business. He worked a little while in Mombasa, then he was a bit of a pioneer. He came to Nairobi, but then he trekked over to Meru and started the first mill, corn mill in the north, when Meru was only one street, but now it's obviously a very big town. And from then on, he had 12 children that survived, and those 12 children then had grandchildren, and they've gone all over the world. But I treasure this picture because, one, there are so few, and we've got to be grateful to him for being one of the pioneers, Asian pioneers. These two books I treasure. I did not bring them in 1967, but I found them. The one on the right, this one is an exercise book, and I went to a state school called Duke of Gloucester School, and it was one of the best schools in East Africa at the time, wholly Asian. And interestingly, in Nairobi we had a system where Asians went to Asian schools, white British went to white schools, and Africans, I'm afraid, got very little. They went to black schools, which did not have enough there. But anyway, this Duke of Gloucester School became Jamhuri High School, and I've been there recently, just in the last few months. I'm raising money and sponsoring children there. The welcome they gave me was tremendous, and it was really lovely to go back. This other one is a book written by Mr. Hood, and he started as a geography teacher, And then he also started French classes. It's an Englishman who lived in Kenya, learned French, and he started teaching French. French speaking was done very little in Kenya, or hardly. I learned French without talking to a Frenchman. But he wrote this book, but he was a gentleman. He gave me the reference when I came to England. Sadly, he has died, but I've got his book. And many Kenyans will remember Mr. Hood as one of the best teachers ever that we had. So very treasured, these two items. I'm very proud that now I've collected probably nearly 100 pictures of Kenya and East Africa as well. And to see the evolution of Nairobi from what was a little place next to the river. Nairobi is named from a Maasai word. And to see it having grown to one of the major cities of Africa. When I was born, probably the population was about 100,000. Now you're talking of several millions. And in between, you've seen the city grow. And you've got some fascinating pictures from very old streets and cars, and it's just amazing. Nairobi keeps on evolving, and it's lovely to have a history in pictures. I'm very grateful to Leeds Museum for allowing me to show my bits of collections. There is a very active East African community now around West Yorkshire. And every now and then they try and get together, but there is an increasing interest in collecting East African artifacts and memorabilia.